Around the world for thousands of years, farmers grew beans in a way that produced extraordinary results. These harvests were abundant. The soil became richer with each passing year. No expensive equipment was needed. No chemicals were required. This wasn't luck or magic. It was a farming approach so powerful that it terrified industries built on selling you solutions. And then, without explanation, it vanished from our collective knowledge. Agricultural companies couldn't make money from this method because farmers didn't need to buy anything. So the knowledge disappeared, not because it failed, but because it succeeded too well outside their system. This is a story of what happened, why it matters, and how you can use it in your garden right now. If this sounds like something you need to know about, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the rest of Backyard Crops. And if you're watching this, you already care about growing better food. That means the YouTube algorithm should know about your interest. Please like this video and share it with someone who wants to grow food without spending their whole paycheck at the garden center. In the 1800s, observers from 3 continents noticed something remarkable. Indigenous communities and traditional farmers were using the same basic technique across completely different regions. Beans were planted at the base of tall living plants, usually corn but sometimes trees and shrubs. What made this different was what didn't happen next. There were no wooden poles, no string, no trellises built from purchased materials. The beans simply climbed whatever was already growing beside them. The beans fed themselves. They fed the soil beneath them. They fed every plant around them. And they did all of this while requiring almost nothing from the farmer except initial placement of seeds. Early agricultural scientists were astounded. These farmers were producing more food on less land while actually improving their soil. Year after year, the earth grew darker, richer, and more alive. Everything grew better. Harvests increased. But there was one fatal flaw with the system. A method that made farmers independent was dangerous to emerging corporations. If farmers didn't need fertilizer, companies couldn't sell fertilizer. If farmers didn't need wooden stakes, stake companies had no customers. If the system maintained itself, farmers became self-sufficient. This was a problem. As agriculture industrialized through the late 1800s and into the 1900s, anything that didn't require purchasing something was labeled backward, primitive, inefficient. The partnership method was quietly removed from official farming guides and agricultural education. By the 1940s, it had disappeared from textbooks almost entirely. What replaced it was deliberate separation. Isolation planting, metal structures, synthetic nitrogen pumped from factories, bare soil between rows designed to sell you products every single season. The method didn't vanish completely. It survived in places where people still grew their own food, in indigenous gardens, on family farms, in subsistence plots passed down through generations. Elders taught it without writing it down. They simply said, plant them with the corn, let them climb, leave them alone. This wasn't ignorance, it was the accumulated knowledge of centuries. Beans didn't evolve in neat rows with metal poles. They evolved climbing trees, shrubs, and tall grasses in mixed plant communities. When we forced them into isolation, staked in rows or cut short as bush varieties, we're fighting millions of years of biological development. The beans survive this treatment, but they don't thrive. They need constant intervention because we've separated them from the relationships that evolved alongside them. The living structure method works because it recreates the forest edge condition, diverse, interconnected, and alive. But the real magic happens beneath the soil, where most people never look. On the roots of beans lives a specific type of bacteria called rhizobia. These bacteria do something remarkable. They pull nitrogen directly from the air and convert it into forms plants can actually use and absorb. This isn't a metaphor or folklore. This is measurable chemistry. One bean plant can fix between 100 to 200 pounds of nitrogen per acre over a growing season. And here's what makes it even more powerful. Beans don't keep that nitrogen to themselves. They share it constantly through fungal networks underground, microscopic highways that connect root systems across different species. The corn feeds from the bean. The bean climbs the corn. Neither one competes with the other. Both thrive. This eliminates the need for purchased nitrogen entirely, which is exactly why the fertilizer industry could never allow this method to become common knowledge. Modern agriculture broke this partnership deliberately. Single crop farms needed single crop solutions. A field of only corn needed nitrogen. A field of only beans needed support structures. Both had to be purchased. The method that provided both for free was labeled inefficient. Not because the data showed it was inefficient, but because it removed profit from the equation. In conventional monoculture farming, something destructive happens every year. Tilling and plowing destroy the fungal networks that took months or years to develop. Plant roots start from almost zero. Nutrients sit trapped in the soil and move poorly. Water either drains too fast or pools in the wrong places. The soil becomes dependent on rescue. Fertilizer, irrigation, pesticides. It becomes fragile. In the partnership method, the fungi remain intact year after year. They build highways underground. Mycelial threads, the root-like parts of fungal systems, connect bean roots to corn roots to squash roots to the entire living community. Nutrients don't just sit there unused. They move, they flow, they circulate through biology, not bags. This is why farmers who used this method reported something extraordinary after just 3 or 4 seasons. Not just better beans, but better everything improved simultaneously. Corn grew taller without any fertilizer purchase, soil held water longer without extra irrigation, pest populations dropped without chemical sprays, plant diseases struggled to establish themselves naturally. The land stopped being fragile. It became resilient because it was functioning as an actual system instead of a collection of isolated crops. The method itself is straightforward, though every relationship matters to make it successful. Corn is planted first and given time to establish good height. It becomes the living infrastructure. Spacing is wider than modern conventional rows, allowing multiple species to grow together without crowding. The soil beneath remains untouched after initial planting. This preservation keeps the fungal networks and microbial communication highways that connect roots across different species intact and growing stronger. Here's the key moment. Partnership, not dominance. Beans are planted once the corn reaches knee height. 3 to 4 bean seeds are placed around the base of each corn stalk. That's it. No poles, no cages, no twine needed. As beans grow, they spiral upward, finding their own path along the corn without any guidance from you. This creates a living system that behaves completely differently from any single crop planted alone. Often, a third partner joins the system, squash or another spreading plant. It grows at ground level, shading the soil, suppressing weeds naturally, and retaining moisture. Each plant supports the others. No plant becomes a burden. Under the old method, beans matured in waves instead of all at once. Industrial agriculture considered this a massive flaw. Uniform harvest dates allow mechanical picking and bulk processing. You can harvest everything in one day and send it to a factory. Staggered harvest requires something different, hand-picking and careful observation. But for families and small communities, staggered harvest meant fresh beans for months instead of one overwhelming glut all at once. It meant food security. It meant eating fresh instead of processed. It meant eating when you wanted to eat, not when the market wanted you to buy. The method was optimized for eating, not selling. That distinction matters more than most people realize. By the early 1900s, agriculture stopped being just about feeding people. It became about feeding systems. Systems that required constant purchasing. Seeds became hybrids that couldn't produce viable seeds for replanting. Nitrogen came in bags from factories. Support structures were sold as products. The old method broke every single rule of this new system. It eliminated purchase stakes as a product category. It reduced nitrogen demand from an entire industry. It made yields abundant but unpredictable in timing. Even home gardeners were discouraged. Seed catalogs pushed pole beans that required purchased stakes and bush beans that supposedly needed fertilizer. Warnings appeared claiming that corn and beans compete for nutrients, a claim that ignored the entire mechanism of nitrogen fixation working right there in the soil. The truth was simpler and more uncomfortable. A method that produces more with less while improving soil yearly threatens systems built on selling inputs every single season. During the Great Depression and World Wars, the method briefly returned because necessity forced people to remember. Victory gardens fed millions using beans, climbing corn, and squash spreading below, with zero purchased inputs. When the wars ended, the method vanished again, pushed out by post-war demands for mechanization, predictability, and visual control. Modern gardeners who rediscovered this partnership method report something remarkable. Harvests double or triple what isolated bean rows produce, but the harvest numbers tell only part of the story. What strikes people most is what happens to the soil itself. After 3 years of bean partnerships, gardeners notice their plots transform completely. Soil that was once hard and compacted becomes crumbly and alive. Garden beds that required watering twice a week suddenly hold moisture for days without additional water. Crops that struggled before and needed constant intervention suddenly thrive. This isn't luck or coincidence. This is nitrogen accumulation working silently underground. This is fungal restoration rebuilding the biological highways. This is carbon layering building fertility. All three work together. The beans aren't just producing food, they're creating infrastructure for everything that follows. The method teaches something that extends far beyond vegetable gardening. It teaches interdependence. Everything modern gardening encourages is the opposite. One crop per bed, one solution per problem, one input per deficiency, separation and control. The partnership method demands integration instead. Problems aren't solved individually, they're dissolved through relationship. The bean doesn't need fertilizer because the corn provides structure and the bean returns nitrogen. The corn doesn't need pesticides because diversity confuses pests and fungi transfer defensive compounds between different root systems. Nothing exists in isolation. Everything connects to everything else. This integration feels uncomfortable to minds trained on control. We've been taught that good gardening means intervention, correcting, feeding, protecting constantly. The partnership method requires something different: trust. Once you plant the system, you leave it alone. The beans find the corn without guidance. Nitrogen flows without measurement. Harvest happens without force. And this absence of control feels wrong to gardeners who believe effort always equals success. But biology doesn't respond to effort. It responds to conditions. This method works because it creates conditions where plants do the work themselves, the work they evolved to do over thousands of years. This method will never return to large-scale industrial farming. It cannot be mechanized efficiently. It produces multiple crops at different harvest times, confusing harvest machinery. It requires biodiversity, which complicates chemical application. It makes farmers independent, which eliminates customers. So it remains forbidden, not by law, but by deliberate omission. Absent from agricultural colleges, missing from extension bulletins, ignored in policy discussions. But it survives where it always has, in small gardens, on family land, in communities that remember and teach. And it spreads quietly now, gardener to gardener, not through institutions, but through results. Because once someone grows beans the old way, climbing living corn, feeding soil for free, producing abundantly without constant effort, they rarely return to stakes and fertilizer. Not because the old way is easier, though it is, but because it feels right. It aligns with how plants evolved, how soil functions, how food systems operated before efficiency became more important than resilience. The partnership bean method asks questions that modern agriculture refuses to address. What if abundance doesn't require purchasing anything? What if fertility is built rather than bought? What if the work we think is necessary is actually interference with systems that function better without our constant intervention? These questions are dangerous because they undermine industries. They challenge basic assumptions about how farming should work. They suggest that careful observation might matter more than expensive expertise, that partnership might produce more than control. And so the method remains forgotten, not because it fails, but because it succeeds too completely. It produces food and fertility simultaneously. It eliminates costs instead of generating them. It makes land more valuable yearly instead of depleting it. It returns power to anyone with seeds and soil. That power cannot be packaged, patented, or sold. It can only be practiced. The old farmers understood something we're only beginning to relearn. Beans were never meant to stand alone. They were meant to climb, connect, feed, and be fed. The pole isn't the point. The partnership is. When you restore that partnership in your own garden, you restore more than just yield numbers. You restore a way of seeing land not as a factory floor requiring endless inputs, but as a community requiring respect and understanding. At Backyard Crops, we exist to recover these quiet techniques, the ones erased not because they failed, but because they conflicted with profit. The partnership bean method isn't a trick or a shortcut. It's a reminder. Abundance was never purchased. It was partnered. Start small if you want. Plant beans with your corn this year. Leave them alone. Observe what happens. After 3 seasons, look at your soil. Feel it in your hands. Watch how everything grows stronger. Then share what you learned with someone else, because this knowledge deserves to spread. Not through institutions, but through your results. If you found this valuable, please comment below and tell me what you want to grow using partnership methods. Subscribe to Backyard Crops for more forgotten techniques that work better than modern solutions. And share this with someone who's tired of spending money at the garden center every single season. The partnership is waiting. Your soil is ready.